morning everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're going to be doing a turtle tray. I've decided to decorate my bathroom only with accessories because my bathroom is kind of like marbled, but like beiges and whites. It's really pretty. So because obviously I've got kids, the bath mat and some of the accessories are beach theme. So over the next few days I'm going to be making some things related to the beach for the bathroom, just so that I can put like jewellery in and bits and pieces. So today we're going to be doing a turtle tray. It's a trinket tray dish mould, and what we're going to do a beach. So we're going to be putting like a layer of sand, and then I'm going to do like dark part of the ocean into turquoise, and then to do the waves I'm going to be doing UV resin with bubbles. So Julie from Pouring Your Heart Out, she came up with a technique. Well, I don't know if she came up with the technique, but she's the lady that I actually seen it being done on, and she basically used white UV resin and added bubbles to the top of the UV resin, cured it, and it made kind of like a lacing effect in the waves. It was really effective, so we're going to have a go at that today. Now, I haven't done much work with UV resin. It isn't my speciality or area of great knowledge, so I am using either the Apex UV resin, or I'll be using the Dicount UV resin. And the reason why I'm not sure whether I can, if I'm going to be using either, is because I don't know if there's anything left in that. I won't know until I tip it up. If not, I will make some white UV resin using pigment paste and the Apex UV resin. So in my cup here that I'm touching, I've just mixed up 8 ounces. I need a few ounces for another project that I'm doing. So that's going to be for my my ocean colours. So for ocean colours, I am going to do a combination of turquoise, azure blue and aqua blue. So they are resin dyes. They're not pigment drops, and they're not alcohol inks. I don't really do much work with alcohol inks. I need to do some because I still haven't done the Petri effect yet. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some gloves on, get my mask sorted and everything. And what I'm going to do is my partner is waiting to lawnmower the garden, so I'm going to switch over from here to a voiceover, and then that way there's not noise pollution within the background. So when I come back, that will be voiceover, so I shall see you shortly. Well, hello again, and I'm back and I'm on a voiceover. So in my pot I have some white sand which is combined with grit. I've mixed up some dish soap, and the Apex High Gloss 1:1 resin is the resin that I'm using. Now to the left hand side, not the left hand side, the right hand side, the Resin Dyes, they are discontinued, so they will not be linked within the description for you. So I'll have to link an alternative. I will link Let's Resins, as I do have a discount code, so if you do buy from Let's Resin website, you can save yourself some pennies. Right, so let's get on with what we're doing. So the first layer is we're going to put some sand down, and the reason why I'm putting the sand down first is because I changed my mind. I was going to do the UV resin first, but it just felt awkward to do. So I'm going to put the UV resin down last. So when we demold it and we turn it over, then we will add the UV resin and possibly another layer of sand. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see how it looks. But the main thing was getting the ocean right, because the sand is spread, which I didn't want. So the dish soap is just what we wash the dishes with. I've just put about 10 drops of that in with an ounce of water. The UV resin that I've got to the side, I don't have any left, so it looks like I'm going to have to make some with the Apex UV resin. I did try and tip it upside down and see if I could get some out when I was mixing up, but it wasn't working. You'll also need a UV lamp. The UV lamp is to cure the UV resin. I am using Resiners new UV lamp. I'm not affiliated with Resiners in any way. I'll still link it, but there isn't a discount code. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mix up the the sand with some resin. But what I'll do is I'll speed that up just so that you're not watching it in real time, because it can drag and become boring. So I will see you. Right, so I forgot about my shells. So I have a pack of shells which I purchased from Amazon. There's different combinations of shells of various sizes and shapes. So I'm going to pick out some of them, and when you are doing something that is upside down, you need to make sure that the items that you put down are also facing upside down, so that way when you turn your product the right way, the inclusions that you've inserted are the right way up. Right, so after I'd picked a combination of shells, it was time to add some resin into my sand. Now I added a little bit to start with, just to wet the sand and try and get the whole sand moist. You don't want to have your sand swimming in resin, otherwise when you put your ocean colours down, the sand will spread up the product, the mould should I say. And that's what exactly happened to me. I didn't use a lot of resin, I just topped up little bit by bit, but I think I added just a tad too much. So you want it as a thick paste consistency, and that's how it looks. But the thing is with sand, because sand and grit is heavy, it sinks in the resin, so possibly let it sit for a little while before you pour it into your mould. And if there's a layer of resin on top, then maybe pour a little bit of that resin out, just so that the resin isn't going to start swimming along your mould. So after mixing for a little while, it was pourable. It was thick and pourable, but there was too much resin in for my liking. And what I did is I just poured it over the top of like a third of the mould. But it started, because the Trinket Day has a rivet around it, like a lip, the resin started taking the sand, so I had to wedge it just to make sure that the sand didn't go to the bottom near the head. So so the next part is putting some resin into some pots. So I put maybe about 1.5 ounces in each pot, and that was for the colours. So I started off with the azure blue, which was the darkest blue that I had within the Resin Dyes, and I just put about 6 or 7 drops in there. It did need more, so I did end up having to do a squeeze. I put 6 drops in each pot, but it's down to yourself, the contrast of the actual colour that you want, you know, so add what you wish. This is just a guideline really. So I mixed it up, it wasn't dark enough, so I added some more, and I just squeezed it in, and that seemed to be the best method, because obviously the deepest part of the ocean is dark blue, so that's what I wanted to show, was like a dark blue consistency going into a lighter blue, into a green, and then the ocean waves will be put on the opposite side. So yeah, when you're mixing colours, the actual depth of the colour, it's down to yourself, so you know, just do that. So when you're mixing any dyes, pigments, alcohol inks, etc., make sure you give them a good mix, scraping all the colour off the side of your cup, and that way it just ensures that your dyes and colours, whatever you're using, is mixed into your resin, and then that way you're not going to get parts of your colour which is not in with the resin, and it's wet and tacky once your resin's cured. I've done it a few times. So what I was doing there was just taking the sand from the groove of the turtle. So I'm starting with the azure blue at the head of the turtle, because that was the top end of the mould, and I just threw it all in. And then I went with the aqua blue, I did a clear layer of resin at the top of the sand, and that was just to give a barrier between the colours, just to stop the resin from going over the sand. But it doesn't really matter if it does, because we can hide that once we put down the white UV resin to do our ocean waves. And that's it really. You just need to keep it like that. It seems to mix itself. So I got my long neck lighter, And I just went over the mould with the lighter because sand contains air, air in resin makes bubbles, and that was it. And I just left it. There was some resin that was coming down on the sand, but as I said, no issues with that. So I'm going to leave this to degas. I'll babysit it for an hour and then it'll go on my heat mat, and I will be back to do the back layer. Hey, I'm back, and I've mixed up 8 pumps of resin and 8 pumps of hardener. And I'm going to have to use the Castin Craft pigment drops as my Just For You Online pigment is fermented and it's no good. It's completely botched. So I'm going to add 10 drops into the resin, and then you need to give this a good stir just to make sure that this is mixed properly into the resin, because it is a fine pigment. And obviously because I'm using a rippled cup, I need to make sure that all the pigment is mixed in. So I'm going to time lapse this. Now that's mixed up, we're going to get this poured into the mould and just make sure that everything is covered. I only needed a very thin layer anyway, that's why I only mixed a small amount of resin. I think I mixed about 2.5 ounces of resin. So the total amount of resin altogether that the mould took was just over 8 ounces. So not too bad at all. So once all the areas are covered, this will stay on my heat mat. The heat mat is turned off. I'll leave it to thicken, so that enables it to degas, and then it'll go on my heat mat for about an hour and a half because it's a shallow pour, and then I'll be back. We can get this demolded, and then we can get on with the next part of the video, which is the UV resin waves. So I will get back with you later. Bye. Right, so this is now cured and we're going to get this demolded. I have sped it up because it was quite lengthy, and what we're going to be doing now is, once we've turned it over and had a look, we're going to be adding some UV resin and adding dish soap, making bubbles, and then curing it on top of the resin. So here's a closer look at the tray. I was just picking off overpour, and where you can see where the sand is where I'm going to put the first layer of UV resin. So I am using the Castin Craft drops, pigment drops, because I didn't have any pigment paste, and I made up some UV resin using the Apex resin, and I put it into the J Addiction bottle. And what I'm doing here is just spreading out the UV resin. Ideally the tray wasn't the best the best method to use for making waves, just because of the drops, the holes within the mold. It just made the UV resin pure, but I just went with it. I'd already committed, so why not? So what I did was put the bubbles on, and then I put the light on. I did the light for about 2 minutes. And what that did is it cured the resin and popped the bubbles, and then I dried the layer of bubbles off the resin because you don't want the suds, and that gave like a lacing effect. So where the edge of the lacing was, I just put some white UV resin and then cured it. Off camera, I'm going to put another layer of UV resin, and I just spread that out again as fast as I could with that, so before it all started pooling into the cavities, and then I gave that a cure. Oh, I added the bubbles. I just wanted to give another dimension of bubbles, not just the one. Right, so that's done there, and I added a couple of shells there, and then I gave a very thin layer of UV resin as a top coat over the top of the shells and the waves. This resin's self-levels, so there wasn't a problem. I did have a couple of bubbles, and because my long net lighter isn't working, the only thing I could use was my blowtorch lighter, so I just blasted that very quickly over the bubbles, cured that top layer, and there we have it. But yeah, It wasn't ideal to do it in this tray mould, but it did the job. Alesso likes it, and it's perfect for the bathroom. The UV resin is more recommended on flat surfaces, and as I told you in previously, I haven't done a lot of work with UV resin, but it's not too bad. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think I did a good job? I'm just not very positive of myself. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Head over to my son's channel, AJ's Eco Crafting. AJ's Eco Crafts. He's got his own channel, and he's a mascot for Just Your Line UK for their Eco Pour, and he will be working with some Eco Pour with me. So yeah, come along and subscribe and check out his channel. So I'm going to leave that with you today. So please like, comment and subscribe if you've not already done.